Dre, yesterday, when we asked the champ, Jose Ramirez, what he wanted the tone and tenor of this fight to look like early on, he said beating him to the jab, taking control of the fight early with the jab.
Well, that's what you want your fighter to say, especially when he's dealing with a fighter like Viktor Postol, who can be crafty and somewhat jittery. You know, he's always bouncing on his toes. He presents a high guard like he's ready to punch, but he's not always willing to punch. That's what you want to do. You want Ramirez to come behind the jab, so as the fight progresses, you'll start to see it turn into a Jose Ramirez fight. A lot of in-close, mid-range fighting.
You know, every time Ramirez gets close, you're going to see Postol, he's going to reach out and try to grab Ramirez. He's going to try to slow him down and not allow him to work in the inside. Right now, he's having his way on the outside, containing the outside with this jab, and just like Dre said, with this movement as well, stepping back and popping that jab.
He is so long, he glides when he's at his best, coming in with that jab. Of course, Ramirez wants to close that gap like that.
These first 6 rounds are where Postol really wants to live. This is where he's got to take advantage of Jose Ramirez, because we know, if you know Jose Ramirez, you know he likes to press the issue and, you know, step things up as the fight progresses. Postol, not so. He needs to get these rounds in the bag now, so when Ramirez does that, if he's unable to keep up the pace with Ramirez, at least he has the early rounds in the bag.
Let go. Let go. Let him go.
You know, right now I'm real surprised that Ramirez has already worked his way in the inside already on Postol. And you see how Postol is very uncomfortable when he's being pressed. Like I told you guys, he doesn't have a good inside game, and that is where Ramirez loves to live.
Had success with the left hook moments ago. Short right hand on the inside as well. Back to range in the jab of Viktor Postol. .28-0 he started his career, did the Ukrainian. 3-2 since then. Of course, the 2 career losses, Josh Taylor and Terrence Crawford. Going the distance with both. End of 1.
Better under the guidance. Ramirez is Robert Garcia. You know, a pressure fighter. Garcia has shown, but he's gotten better under the guidance side to side of how to use his jab. You know, Robert Garcia has shown him how to move his head from side to side, how to use his jab, you know, and attack the right way.
Well, that is the right game plan on paper. That's the right game plan in theory, but you got to have the right. Well, that is the right game plan on paper to be able to walk through the right game plan in theory. But with those, you got to have the right fighter. You know, it is fire. Those are heavy shots to be able to walk through the fire that Ramirez is bringing with those punches. And Viktor Postol, you know, it is fire. Those are heavy shots that are landing when they do land. And Freddie can't help Viktor Postol.
Well, you're going to need more than just a jab to keep Ramirez off of you. You know, you're going to need some power shots as well. Well, you're going to need more than just a jab. Ramirez is going to get inside and land those power shots in the head and power shots as well. We know Ramirez is going to get inside and land those power shots to the head and body.
There's a left hand to the body. See Doug with that angle. Back to the jab for Postol. There's a left hand to the body. See Doug with that angle apiece in that first round. Back to the jab for Postol. Both fighters landed 9 punches apiece in that first round.
By getting that body work in, even if it's 1 or 2 early on. Great job by Ramirez. He starts to step things up by getting that body work in, even if it's 1 or 2 early on.
Old 5'11" former champ. Lauding Viktor Postol for his work with the jab in that second round. He was 11 of 31 controlling things with the jab, according to CompuBox. Round number 3.
For Jose Ramirez, his best attributes are really somewhat unseen. His will, his desire, in his conditioning, and it's hard sometimes for an opponent to measure those kind of things. Typically, you look for, a specific punch, or, this guy has a good jab, he has good footwork. You don't really see anything from Ramirez that wows you, but what he has on the inside is made up of greatness. His legacy is still being written. He still has big fights that he needs to fight, and, we'll see if he wins those big fights, but the willingness to want to face other champions, and so far he's beaten those champions, that's what greatness is made of.
And that will manifested itself in the 6th round in July of 2019 with that devastating left hook that caved in Maurice Hooker. And that is how he became a unified champion. But it has been the long layoff, 13 months, longest layoff of his career, as he tries to chase down Postol now across the ring. Postol getting out of the way as Ramirez hoping to get him against those ropes.
Yeah, it looks like Postol is getting comfortable now. He's found his range with his jab, coming behind it with some combinations about 15 seconds ago. Ramirez looks a little bit bewildered at the moment. He's looks a little bit uncomfortable. He's trying to be patient. He's not moving his head too much right now, but he needs to get his jab working. Whether you throw the jab to the head, I would prefer it down to the chest or the body of Postol.
I think Ramirez is just taking a breather, and I think he's trying to bring Postol to him. He wants Postol to open up, feel comfortable, and get brave so he can land a big shot.
Short chopping right hand, then backs him up with a jab of his own.
I think the one thing that we don't talk about often is the chin. Ramirez has a granite chin. I mean, he's been hit by some hard punchers in his division, and he ate these shots, and he came back with his own.
End of 3 from Vegas. Long left hand, but the right hand he wants to see straight as an arrow right down the middle against his former charge, Jose Ramirez, who he won a world championship with. Ramirez now has Robert Garcia in the corner with him. This is his 4th fight with Garcia. Of course, Robert, a lot that's relatable with Jose, sons of Mexican immigrant farm workers. Bernardo, you were listening in to Robert Garcia after that last round. What can you tell us?
I asked him, how do you get inside that jab? He said it's not going to be easy because Postol's being very effective. But I told Jose, you can't be at that distance. You've got to use your head movement to get inside and dig to the body.
And just moments ago, we saw him try to come over the top with a right hand against that jab. And then he took the angle to the left and did indeed dig to that body, Dre.
Yeah, he's trying. He's doing what he has to do. He took a little bit of a round off in the 3rd round, and he's picking up the pace, per Robert Garcia's instructions. But again, I said this in the beginning that Viktor Postol, historically, the 2 guys that he lost to, Terrence Crawford and Josh Taylor, they didn't have stellar performances. They took care of business and they got the win, but he's a very difficult guy to make a statement against.
2016 was when Crawford was able to unify titles at 140 pounds. June of 2018 was when Josh Taylor had the 12-round unanimous decision victory against Viktor Postol.
Let go, stop!
There's a right hand that's going to be available as this fight continues to materialize for Ramirez. Right over the right over the jab of Viktor Postol. You see it starting to come back a little slower than earlier in the fight. It's a tad bit slower.
I talked about the pressure that Ramirez is under tonight because even though he's facing Viktor Postol and he has to focus on Postol, Josh Taylor's watching. And Josh Taylor expects Ramirez to win tonight, but he's also looking for weaknesses. He's looking for holes in his game. He's looking for things that he can exploit. So that's why I mentioned that it's not about Jose Ramirez just winning tonight, but how he wins.
Josh Taylor has a mandatory title defense coming up next month. And then the plan is, if both of these men can get through these title fights, that they would meet up so that the sport can crown what would be only its second undisputed junior welterweight champion in the 4-belt era. The first being Bud Crawford. There have only been 4 men in the 4-belt era to be under the Central Valley. He is an advocate for the little guy. He has talked often about being pro-immigrant and proud. And it would mean the world to him, as a Mexican-American, as the son of immigrants, to be the first to become an undisputed champion with the 4 belts. That is the goal.
Ramirez right now just giving too much space for Postol. Postol's having his way. This is where Ramirez needs to live. He needs to try to get in the inside and stay in the inside and not allow Postol to extend like that with his punches, with his jab especially.
Bernardo, what are you hearing from Freddie Roach?
He's happy with the performance of Viktor Postol so far. He says, look, I know Ramirez is going to start coming, but all we need to do is keep him at bay with that jab and continue to work the body to stay within the plan.
Believe it or not, fellas, Postol wants to win this fight. But the reality is, even if he looks good and loses this fight, he lives to fight another day. That, in and of itself, is somewhat of a victory for a 37-year-old aging former champion in Viktor Postol.
He told us he sits here at 36 years old, but he feels that he has 3 good years left in him, at least.
Well, right now, Viktor Postol seems to me that he's winning this fight at this very moment. By controlling range, not allowing Ramirez to get in close.
Stop.
He's fighting a really calculated fight tonight.
Not sure he's winning, but this is definitely Postol's best round. And, you know, one fighter's been off for 13 months, longest layoff. The other fighter, Viktor Postol, has been off for 16 months. Layoffs treat fighters differently. Fighters respond differently to layoffs. So as the fight progresses, I want to see how the layoff treated both guys. Because that's when it shows up, later in the fight.
Nice little step out right there from Postol. Getting out, then get back out of his range, and pretty sure that jab's going to be coming. What Ramirez needs to do, he needs to try to cut off the ring on Postol. Cut the ring off, dig down to the body, punch where he thinks he's going to move to. Set him up, use feints, change his rhythm up a little bit. Stop coming through the front door, try to get in through the side door. He's making it too easy for Postol to hit him.
End of 5 here in our championship. And now here's the ramp up there. Everybody wanting to get back to action. And Herring is set up if he can get past a kendo. If, then a showdown with Carl Frampton. Round 6 here. CompuBox right now has Viktor Postol with a 63-51 connect advantage, and he has landed 32 of 112 jabs thrown.
This is why I was unwilling to write Viktor Postol off in the build-up to this fight at the beginning of the night, because you always got to leave room for a fighter, even if he's aging, a former champion, to fight like a champion once again. He's not winning this fight on my scorecard, but he's hanging in this fight, and he's slowly starting to pile up rounds, the last round and the first part of this round.
Dre, you got to be kidding me. You saying that Postol's not winning this fight right now? Are you kidding me? He's clearly outboxing Ramirez. He's hit Ramirez more than
Jim, you see my
Ramirez has hit
scorecard,
him.
right?
Oh my goodness, really?
Yeah, but I will say this. I will say
He's eating
this.
the jab.
Whenever you have two very smart, erudite boxing minds here who disagree on scoring, it is often because of this kind of style. One guy who wants to be the aggressor and press, the other guy who wants to box behind a long left hand. You can see it two different ways.
Joe, I respect him. I respect Tim's opinion, but I'm going to say this. I was pleased and surprised with how quickly Ramirez came out in the first 4 rounds in this fight. I expected Postol to, win those early rounds and Ramirez to come on late, and they switched positions. So Ramirez was very, very effective in the first 4 rounds. I mean, Postol landed some jabs, but, nothing to win the first 4 rounds of this fight.
Work to get out. Work to get out.
3-punch combination from Postol, just touching him.
What did Ramirez land? What did Ramirez land?
He threw more punches, he landed more punches, and he's dictating the fight. The last 2 rounds, this is the 4th round and the 5th round are the only 2 rounds where I started to tell myself, okay, Viktor Postol starting to settle down and land some punches. Other than that, it was all Jose Ramirez.
Tried to come over the top with that right hand.
There's that. There it is.
Halfway point with the WBC and WBO and Jose Ramirez, centered on where the fight stands here at the halfway mark rather than actual fight strategy and instructions. And you could hear the concern in the voice of Garcia. Don't give away any more rounds. You have to win these rounds clearly right now.
Garcia's saying that because he knows Postol and he knows that he's the type of fighter, especially at this stage in his career, where he'll be as good as you allow him to be. And you don't want to give an old cagey fighter with a lot of experience any extra confidence to feel like he not only belongs, but that he can win the fight.
I think he's being honest with this fighter, and he's telling him what he's supposed to tell him to get him going, to get his people going in this fight. You can see the intensity now. The tempo has picked up for Ramirez. He's looking to land more often now. He's not just sitting in front waiting. Ramirez has to go down to the body of Postol. He needs to take his attention downstairs, bring those hands down, keep Postol still by hitting him to the body, and then surprise him with something over the top. Again, that right hand is available for Ramirez.
Short shot, left hand from the champ. Now he's coming after him. It's a short left hand on the inside from Ramirez that gave him an opportunity. One offensive surge. And now a jab that's effective, snapping back the head.
There it is again, the body shot, Tess.
Sweeping across with that left hand, trying to get something going, trying to close the gap against Postol.
Postol definitely got buzzed with that left hook, but overall, I think he took the shot pretty well.
He took it well, but the biggest punch of the night so far landed.
Good shot from Postol.
Sure was. Right hand came behind the jab. Very entertaining 7th round here in Vegas. able to land 13 power punches. And that is his high output of the night.
Those body shots right there is going to set up something over the top. Postol don't like that. Don't like the punches downstairs.
Oh, and there's a left hand right to the belt line. Let's check in with Bernardo.
Ramirez has now found his rhythm.
Freddie told me, look, I need him to sit down on that 1-2 more. We see that he's coming on. We cannot allow him to bully him into the ropes. So he's got to throw right up the middle.
Got to keep him honest. If you're Postol, you absolutely have to throw that right hand. Round 8. Unified World Championship on the line, and there's another shot by Ramirez as he hits the gas pedal again, and then Postol gets out to safety to the middle. Those quick bursts from Ramirez, they've been effective.
Trust me, any fighter in there that's fighting Ramirez, you do not want to motivate him. If he even sees that he hurt you, that's confidence building, and he's going to keep that motor coming all night long.
The scouting report for most Eastern European fighters, not all, but most, are great boxers, traditional stance, not a lot of bend in the knees, and just good short jabs that they don't telegraph. They just stick it out there, but they don't have an inside game. That's not how they were taught. Ramirez needs to take this fight inside as often as possible because Postol is crafty enough to make this thing ugly, like I've been saying, and to possibly sneak some shots in of his own. That's why I like the way Ramirez came out in the first 3 or 4 rounds, because he never gave Postol even a glimmer of hope to believe that he could win this fight. Of course, generally he wants to win it, but it's another thing, you know, in terms of what's going on the inside. But then he started to allow Postol to have a little bit of confidence. That's why you see more energy, more bounce from Postol. He believes that he could possibly win this fight.
Things have clearly changed after that 6th round. Trainer of the Year, Freddie Roach, sending out Viktor Postol for round number 9. The former WBC junior welterweight titleist who won the belt back in 2015. Here he is 5 years later, trying to take 2 belts away from the undefeated Jose Ramirez. Ramirez right now has a 96-91 connect advantage. More effective when it comes to the power punching. Clearly we've seen that on the inside. He has thrown 195 power punches, landing 70. Now that up jab finding its target. Bernardo, what is Robert Garcia saying now after a couple successful rounds from the champ?
He saw exactly that. The last 2 rounds were successful. I want him to keep pressuring. I want him to connect that left hook, work that body. But Postol is tough. It's tough to get inside. He's very smart, very cagey. So we just need to keep pressuring.
You know, you see Ramirez, he's throwing 1 jab. You know, when he had success, it was when he used the double jab or came with the 1-2-1. He needs to throw more combinations if he wants to get inside.
Good steady jab from Viktor Postol. You see, that jab that's taught in that Eastern European system is very, very difficult to deal with because, you know, that's what I struggled with Kovalev in our first fight, at least for the first few rounds, was that his jab always was in position, and it just traveled 2 to 3 inches. He never telegraphed it, and you'll find yourself thinking about what you want to do while the fighter with the good jab is punching, and he's just piling up points, and he's trying to line up a right hand. Very difficult to deal with. You see Ramirez deal with it better at certain points, and then you see with him get hit with it. So if I'm Postol, you keep that jab going.
Stop! Watch your heads, watch your heads. Let him go. Hands free.
And if I'm also Postol, he needs to start coming with more right hands and left hooks, and even body shots like you just saw right there off of the jab, because contrary to what Tim Bradley's saying, Viktor Postol is not winning this fight right now.
Well, it's been a couple of rounds since I said that, Dre.
Time!
And
let's get you up to
Ramirez
speed with some of the news and notes going on in the sport.
With the highest pedigree, the only knock on him as an amateur is he wasn't Shakur Stevenson. The WBO had Magdaleno ahead had him ahead of Magdaleno at number 2 until very recently.
So yet another world title fight coming your way from the Vegas bubble. That will be October 10th. Round 10 here of our championship fight, Postol and Ramirez.
When Ramirez is disciplined, he's doing what he told us that he would do. He's coming behind the jab, then he lets his shots go. When he starts to get a little lazy or get over anxious, he leaves his feet standing still, and he starts to reach and lean in to try to hit Postol. And for a fighter with that kind of reach and a fighter who knows how to use his left hand, that's not a smart thing to do.
Right now here, clearly, Postol is comfortable once again. Ramirez not being real busy with his offense, and ooh, Postol landed a right hand right there.
Good right hand.
Just buzzed Ramirez. That split second when you saw Ramirez freeze up, that means he was buzzed.
That is exactly what Freddie Roach has been calling for. That right hand to come behind the jab. A nice, straight as an arrow, right hand from Viktor Postol.
Typically, if you can hit a fighter with the left hand, with the lead hand flush, you can follow that up with the right hand, and you saw Postol just do that moments ago.
Postol right now is boxing beautiful right now. Excellent boxing. Everything off his jab, good movement, and every now and then he'll turn over that right hand on Ramirez.
The tough thing about the style of Jose Ramirez is you respect it. You know, you see the heart, you see, you know, just the conditioning. You see all the things, the intangibles and the tangibles, the things we talked about all throughout the night. But for him, every fight is going to be a tough fight. Even fights that you say he dominates, he still takes punches in order to get inside, just based on his style and the way he goes about his craft. That starts to add up over time. Even sparring sessions, you know.
11, 10. Vamos, Jose. Ocupamos estos 2 rounds, okay?
We need these 2 rounds. Come on. Give me everything. We need these rounds.
Well, in Robert Garcia corner, you know, you hear the urgency. You hear the tension in his voice. He said we need these 2 rounds, and I believe that Ramirez needs these 2 rounds. I believe this fight is very, very close.
Left hand to the body, short right uppercut on the inside from the champ. 123 to 118 connect advantage for Ramirez. Jab output from Postol. He's landed 54 of 239.
you know, to me, the jab is beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. It sets up the offense. But the power shots, I believe, is what matters most. You know, if you land in, you know, vicious power shots on your opponent, more than just a jab, I think you should get more credibility.
Well, of course.
Power shots.
Effective punching, clean, effective punching.
And there's another thing. You know, Ramirez has been the boss. He's been dictating the pace all night. So, you know, judges like when guys, you know, dictate the pace and come forward. And usually when guys dictate the pace and come forward, typically they win these fights, these type of fights.
Tim, you made my point for me, and that's what I was saying, you know, a few rounds ago, is that you have CompuBox, you have punches thrown, punches landed, and then you have a story of a fight. The story of the fight for me has been Ramirez coming on and building up a lead, Postol getting comfortable, you know, winning a few rounds, and then the last 2 or 3 rounds have been, they could have gone either way. They're swing rounds. So to me, that's the story of the fight. Is overall, Jose Ramirez has been in control of this fight, but Postol has always been dangerous.
Stop. Let go. Stop.
A little bit of loose tape around that left wrist of Postol. There's the 1-2 that Freddie Roach, and again, wants to see plenty of.
Wow.
Stop. Time. Scissors.
And now they will handle that loose tape that we noted.
Cut this up fast. Just
If you're Postol, you don't let the referee know that you have loose tape. You just had some momentum. You just landed 2 good right hands. Why would you stop and look at the ref and say, stop the action? I don't understand. Let the referee do his job.
And by the way, in this day and age of COVID protocols, God bless Marvin Samodio, the assistant in the corner, who just cut the tape with his teeth. Ramirez has done his whole life for the people where he comes from, for his family, and his opponents know that well. Keep throwing shots, punches in bunches. What can he offer here with his 2 world championships on the line? 12th and final round.
You know, testing Postol is, you know, smart like I think he is. I think it's the perfect time right now. He's landing the right hand, but if he throws that right hand underneath and surprise Ramirez, could do some serious damage. Uppercut.
You know, I have Ramirez up 7 rounds to 4 right now. But some of the rounds, like I said, 9, 10, those can be swing rounds. You never know how a judge is going to score rounds that are close where one guy comes on early and another guy closes the show. So the fight could be up for grabs, and Postol has to fight that way. And so does Ramirez.
Let's see if Ramirez can get this 12th round to a place where it's the volume and the work rate that Robert Garcia wants to see. As Freddie Roach's charge continues with the jab and the right hand behind it. Long and consistent Viktor Postol.
And Ramirez came out strong, like I've been saying all night. He just seems that he went flat, and I don't know if that's Viktor Postol. I don't know if that's the long training camps over the last, you know, X amount of months with several postponements and long, you know, just all the rounds that he had in sparring. Regardless of what the reason is, it happened, and Postol is taking advantage of it tonight.
Had a couple good body shots in the mix there moments ago. Of course, a 13-month layoff and 3 training camps, considering 2 postponements for this world title fight. Final minute of the final round. WBC, WBO belts on the line here. Title defense for Jose Ramirez. So much still lies ahead if he can pull out this win. Wants the showdown to have an undisputed champion with Josh Taylor. Trying to give an angle there and come back with the left hand.
Postol is boxing very well this round. He's countering. He's leading, and he's making Jose Ramirez pay for every mistake that he makes.
And there's the 1-2 from Postol, and then touches him with the left hand again. Time to let loose. Time to listen to what Garcia said if you're Ramirez. Punches in bunches. There's the clap. Here's the stretch run.
In front. Go. Good job.
I think
Good job.
particular punch straight down the middle, Postol, straight down the middle, Postol, and that was one thing a little bit more. I think that he could have been a little bit more aggressive. You know, Robert Garcia was calling for more offense from him, and he didn't deliver that. You know, he delivered in his spots, and he did very well. But I wish he would have done it a little bit more in this fight.
I thought Jose Ramirez had a flat performance tonight. He came out really, really sharp, like I said, the first 3 or 4 rounds, which was surprising because I expected him to come on late. Postol looked a little gun-shy, didn't look like he wanted to commit. And then, like you said, Tim, he started to come on in the midway through the fight. And then they exchanged rounds, probably on the last 4 to 5 rounds. It could have went either way, some of those rounds. Solid performance from Viktor Postol. He lives to fight another day, regardless if he wins or loses. And Jose Ramirez, you know, he's a guy who's always in a tough fight. You know, you look at his age and you may say, hey, he's got another 5 to 7 years, you know, left in his career. That's not always the case when you fight the way that he does. So you want to keep an eye on that. I don't know if this was the layoff or just the tough fight starting to add up, but it's definitely something you got to keep an eye on.
Trey's card had it 150.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 12 rounds here inside the MGM Grand, we go to the judges' scorecards for the official decision. Dave Moretti has the bout 114-114. Tim Cheatham has the bout 115-113. Steve Weisfeld has the bout 116-112 for your winner by majority decision. And still, WBC, WBO Junior Welterweight Champion of the World, Jose Ramirez!
And I think those scores detail exactly what